What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Pastor Wes, and I'm here with another 5-minute Bible study. So today we are going to touch on Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 through 3. We're in the midst of Lent, and I think this is a really good scripture for us to meditate on and to think about. So Hebrews 12, 1 through 3, it says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." When this text starts out, therefore, since, right? It is a transitional phrase. And anytime you see a transitional phrase in the Bible, you have to look back at the previous thing that was said to understand why they are saying therefore. And what happens is that if you read Hebrews chapter 11, you will find that there was a discussion about the great hall of faith. You know, we have in sports the Hall of Fame, but in the Bible we have the Hall of Faith, where people like Abraham and Noah and Gideon and so many others were mentioned. And, it talks about by faith, Abel offered a more excellent sacrifice than Cain. There's so many different people that are mentioned in the Hall of Faith. But what the text is trying to get us to understand is that we're surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses. These are individuals who understood their relationship with God through their faith that they exhibited in their lived experience. And so when we think about that, it is an invitation in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 through 3 to throw off the things that will prevent us from exercising faith in a very meaningful way. And so when it says that we have to run with perseverance the race marked out for us, all of us have a race that we have been assigned in this life. My race is different than yours. Your race is going to be different than your brother or your sister or your mother or your father. Everybody has their own race to run. And we have to run with perseverance that race that is marked out for us. But we can only do that when we have faith. They said faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. Though we have not lived in a context to see the actual ministry, earthly ministry of Jesus, we have faith that it exists. And because we have faith in the earthly ministry of Jesus Christ, we can then use that as the example for the race that we have got to run. I think that when it talks about how Jesus fixed his eyes on the thing that he had to do, he set before him and endured the cross. He did it with joy because he had kept his mission in mind. I wonder how many of us persevere through this life with joy, understanding that there is a mission that God has before us. If we thought about it from that perspective, perhaps some of the things that we went through, the trials and tribulations that we experience, we could get through them a lot more easily when we realize that we have to keep our eyes fixed on the one who is the author and finisher of our faith, the one who is the pioneer and perfecter of the faith that we actually profess. Our life becomes a little bit easier to manage when we keep our eyes on Jesus. Our difficulties are easier to persevere through when we keep our eyes on Jesus. And so I want this text in Hebrews chapter 12 to encourage you. I want you to encourage that the fact that Jesus was able to endure all this opposition from sinners, that he was able to get through and endure the cross, that you will not grow weary and lose heart in the ways in which you have experienced certain things in life. If there's nothing else you take from this text, I want you to take that last verse, verse 3. "Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart." I don't want you to lose heart because you go through difficulty, because Jesus was able to persevere. He said, in this life you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. That is the faith that we profess. And so keep all of this in mind. Reread Hebrews chapter 12. In fact, read Hebrews chapter 11 and then read Hebrews chapter 12 so you can understand why we should have this great hope and joy. And I hope you guys will join us as we continue through this Holy Week, Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, even to go into Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. You guys take care, all right? And I hope you remain blessed this week.